Manadari Yasodanandana Pradhanaranjana Yasodanandana Pradhanaranjana Yamunatiha Vanacharya Yamunatiha Vanacharya Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramhangsa Prabhupada Asadhara Satushi Shiman His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Swaraj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Haribol Glorious to the Sound Devotees All glorious to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Agyana Tamanandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksura Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Didati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadhutam Prajana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vasakans Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patidanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 20, Valimar surrenders the universe, text number 2. Shri Balir Uvacha Satyam Bhagavata Proktam Dharmayam Grihamedinam Artam Kamam Yushe Vritim Yona Badeta Karhichit Shri Balir Uvacha Satyam Bhagavata Proktam Dharmoyam Grihamedinam Ardam Kamam Yashovritam Yo Na Beta Karhichit ladies. Shri Bali Vacha. Bali Maharaj said, Satyam, it is truth. Bhagavata, by your greatness. Proktam, what has already been spoken. Dharmaha, a religious principle. Ayam, that is. Grihamedinam, especially for the householders. Artam, economic development. Kamam, sense gratification. Yashavritim, reputation and means of livelihood. Yaha, which religious principle? Na, not. Badeta, hinders. Karhichit, at any time. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīmad Prabhupada. Bali Maharaj said, as you have already stated, the principal religion that does not hinder one's economic development, sense gratification, fame and means of livelihood is the real occupational duty of the householder. I also think that this religious principle is correct. Please repeat. Bali Maharaj said, as you have already stated, the principal religion that does not hinder one's economic development, sense gratification, fame and means of livelihood, is the real occupational duty of the householder. I also think that this religious principle is correct. Purport. Bali Maharaj's grave answer to Śrīmad is meaningful. Śrīmad stressed that one's material means of livelihood and one's material reputation, sense gratification, and economic development must continue properly. To see to this is the first duty of a man who is a householder, especially one who is uninterested in material affairs. If religious principle does not affect one's material condition, it is to be accepted. At the present time, in this age of Kali, this idea is extremely prominent. No one is prepared to accept any religious principle if it hampers material prosperity. Śrīmad being a person of this material world, did not know the principles of a devotee. A devotee is determined to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead to fulfill to his full satisfaction. Anything that hampers such determination should certainly be rejected. This is the principle of bhakti. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. Madhya-lila 2:22-100. To perform devotional service, one must accept only that which is favorable and reject that which is unfavorable. Bali Maharaj had the opportunity to contribute everything he possessed to the lotus feet of Lord Vamanadev, but Śrīmad was putting forward a material argument to hamper this process of devotional service. Under the circumstances, Bali Maharaj decided that such hindrances should certainly be avoided. In other words, he decided immediately to reject the advice of Śrīmad and go on with his duty. Thus he gave all his possessions to Lord Vamanadeva. So the text again. Shri Bala Vacha Satyam Bhagavata Proktam Dharamam Yam Grihamedinam Artam Kamam Isho Ritim Yona Badeta Karichit. Bali Maharaj said, as you have already stated, the principles of religion that does not hinder one's economic development, sense gratification, fame and means of livelihood is the real occupational duty of the householder. I also think this religious principle is correct. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Harane Nirvishesha Shrivadi Paskadyade Satarne. Could I get some water? In the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, in the first canto, second canto, actually, at the end of the first canto, Parikshit Maharaj asked the question to the sages, what is the duty of a person who's about to die? Most people would find that rather a morose question. If you ask it at a university, you might get arrested as a terrorist, threatening the professor. But Shukadeva Goswami was quite enthusiastic to hear this question, and he replied, Varyan esha te prashna krito lakita ripaha atvavat samatam pumsam shotavyadishu yakparaha. That this question is Varyan, is glorious, and it's the prime subject matter. Varyan esha te prashna krito lokita ripaha. It's the prime beneficial question for everyone. Because the one thing we all share in common is that we're all about to die. As I said before, one devotee went to a doctor, and the doctor said, my dear patient, unfortunately, I have bad news for you. I think you're going to die. So the devotee said to the doctor, well, I have bad news for you also. I think you're also going to die. Or as it's explained, when Gandhi was in England and the reporters were asking him, or actually Prabhupada, they were asking him, why in India so many people are sick and dying? So Prabhupada said, you're right. In India, so many people are getting sick and dying. But I've been in London for some time, and I noticed that people are getting sick and dying here too. As a matter of fact, in India, the death rate is 100%. And I've noticed here in London, such an advanced country, the death rate here is also 100%. So with all the scientific advancement, there's no diminishing of the death rate. So this question is valuable because it's the one question everyone will have to deal with. What are we going to do when we die? No one escapes it. Ahani bhutani gachantiya yamalayam shesha stavar ichanti kemascharya matakpuram. That Maharaj Yudhisthira was questioned by his father in the form of a yaksha, Dharmaraj in the form of a yaksha, that what is the most amazing thing? And the most amazing thing is ahani bhutani gachanti yamalayam. That day after day, so many people, so many living entities are entering into the jaws of death. But those who stay behind, they think they're going to stay here forever. So that's amazing. That's the illusion. That somehow or another we think this is some permanent situation we're under. And therefore we're always trying to improve it and protect it, while ultimately it's all going to be taken away from us very shortly. Therefore, not only the person who asks the question, such an intelligent question, but also the person who gives the answer, as well as all the people who listen to the answer. But then Shukadeva Goswami says, Shrotavyadishu Rajandra Shrina Shrotavyadishu Rajandra Shinam Sahasrasyaha Apashitam Atmatadvam Griheshu Grihamedinam. So the same word is used here, Grihamedinam. Griha means house. So the first house we live in is this body. And then we expand it. So those who are simply interested in expanding their griha, their house, they're called medinam, griha medinam. Their minds, their intelligence is simply focused around expanding their griha. Not getting out of the griha, not getting out of the material concept of life, but expanding it. As Prahlad Maharaj said, Matirana Krishna Paratak Svatova Bito Bipadyeta Griha Vratanam Adantago Vira Vichatam Tamizram Punak Punas Charvita Charvananam. So Matira means where we put our consciousness. Matirana Krishna. So the last place that people want to put their consciousness, who are Grihamedis, is on Krishna. Because Krishna may take everything away. Yasyanugrahami Krishe Taddanashanai. Krishna may take everything away, but they want to get from Krishna. They don't want to give to Krishna. They want to get everything they can from Krishna. And they certainly don't want Krishna to take anything away from them, because their shelter is their griha. They don't think Krishna is going to give them shelter, nor do they want Krishna's shelter. Srila Prabhupada was on a train with his disciples, and some Indian gentlemen were in the next car, and they wanted to get Prabhupada's darshan. But generally speaking, Indian gentlemen on trains trying to get a sadhu's darshan is to waste his time. Anyhow, they tried very hard, and they caught Srila Prabhupada's attention, and Srila Prabhupada was obliged by etiquette to invite them onto his car. So they came onto his train car, and he said, Hare Krishna, what can I do for you? Oh, Swamiji, we want your ashirvad, we want your benedictions. So Prabhupada, unlike most sadhus, inquired from them, what kind of benediction do you want? So they said, oh, Swamiji, my daughter has to get married, I don't have any money, I need some benedictions from you so I can pay for her wedding and for her dowry, please help me. Another man said, I have this water on my foot. I've gone to the doctor many times, we can't get rid of it. Please, I need your blessings. And similarly, other gentlemen asked for similar blessings. And then Prabhupada pointed to his sannyasis, the saffron cloth that they were wearing, and he said, this is my blessings. And the gentlemen, they all folded their hands and said, Swamiji, you look very tired. I think we should come back later and receive your blessings. And they immediately disappeared. These are not the blessings they were looking for. Therefore, Matirana Krishna, no one wants Krishna's blessings, no one wants Krishna's shelter, at least not materialists. Instead, Matirana Krishna Paratak Satova. Parata means between themselves. Matirana Krishna Paratak Satova. Mito, actually mito means a combination. Parata means from others. Matirana Krishna Paratak Satova. Mito bipadyeta griha vratanam. So either oneself, one wants self-improvement, one wants to figure out how to get free from the problems of material life, or from help from others, or a combination of both. Mito. But they don't want the solution to get out of material life, they want to expand material life to the maximum. So this is called Griha Ratanam. Matirana Krishna Paratak Satova, Swato, by oneself, Satova. Griha Ratanam. Matirana Krishna Paratak Satova, Mito Vipadyeta Griha Ratanam. So why do they want to expand their griha, their bodily concept of life? Why do they? Because the first house we live in is this body. And so we have to make the body comfortable, we have to make it secure, we have to make it attractive, we have to do so many things to this body to feel good. So this is called Griha Vratanam, to make a vow to stay in this material world and to improve our material circumstances. Why? Adantago bira vichitam tamizram. Because we've accepted as our shelter our material senses and desires as our shelter, as our goal of life, to fulfill them. Kamadinam katidas palitas dor leveta. So, kamadinam katida palitas dor nidesham. That in so many different ways, my senses are demanding so many things from me. And I've become very absorbed in trying to fulfill them, unlimitedly. But now, and what are these demands? What are the quality of these demands? Kamadinam katida palitas dornidesha te shamayi jata na karuna no prashanti. They never give up demanding from me, nor are they ever satisfied with my efforts to serve them, nor are the results are ever really favorable for me. So, utsri jaitam yatapate, lava buddhis. But now I've obtained some intelligence, and I'm giving up these unwanted demands, and I'm taking shelter of Krishna. Sharanam prapadye. So that's one's choice in the material world. One can go on, try to expand one's griha, or adantago bira vichitam puna to mizram, gradually sink down to the lowest status of life, and our vain desire to serve the senses life after life. Why? Punas charvata charvanana. No matter how much we try to serve the senses, they never give up. They never are satisfied. Nor am I ever satisfied. Nor do I ever get the results I'm actually looking for. So it seems like a useless waste of time. But for a Grihamedi, one whose intelligence is quite small, quite restricted, there's no alternative. There's nothing else to do here. Nor are they interested in anything else. They're only interested in trying to expand their griha. It's like if you distribute books and you try and stop people and you want to get their attention, then all you do is have to point out something that they're wearing, because that's a symbol of their ambition in life. When I was doing the airport in Chicago, different cowboys would come by. And every cowboy has his boots on, which they strongly identify with because they're quite expensive, sometimes thousands of dollars. There's elephant boots made out of elephant skin, boots made out of rattlesnake skin, all kinds of different boots. And if you go, wow, look at those boots, immediately they'll stop. My devotee has stopped me. You go, wow, rattlesnake, right? Yeah, it's a rattlesnake. Immediately there's a bond that's formed. You're part of the same bai. You're a bai. You're part of the same family. And then, after that, it's very easy to sell them a book because you're a brother. They'll do anything for a brother, especially one in the rattlesnake line. So everyone is looking for the idea that I'm going to expand my consciousness, I'm going to expand my experience in the material world and along a certain line. But it can't be to get out of the line, it has to be to expand that line with my brothers and sisters and family and everyone else. Everyone works together to keep each other entangled in the material consciousness. Just like one priest was telling one man that if you drink, you're going to go to hell. So the man said, but my mother drinks. Well, she's also going to go to hell. Well, what about my father? He's also drinking sometimes. Well, he'll go to hell. My brothers and sisters, they also drink. Well, they're going to go to hell. But all my friends, they all drink. Well, they're all going to hell. So the man said, if all my relatives are in hell, then hell is heaven. So everyone is interested in pleasing their dearmost, no matter what state of consciousness they're in. And most people in the material world have come here to enjoy the material world, and that means to enjoy each other's association from the material point of view. Therefore, nate vidu swartagatim hi Vishnu. Same idea, matirna Krishna parataksatova. That they don't know that the goal of life is to obtain Krishna. They're interested in things that are insignificant. They're completely obsessed whether their football team is going to win the cup or not. Their happiness, their success in life depends whether their favorite player can kick a ball into a goal. That's what their whole aim of life is to achieve. So this is called Darashaya, ye bahir artamanina, very small and insignificant goals of life. Nothing of any real progression, anything of real, any value. They've made up so many things as the goal of life. And that's what they're obsessed with following. Hoping that there's going to be some improvement in their life. That if their team wins the World Cup, then they can sleep at night. Otherwise, no. Andaya tandira upigiyamanas te pisha tantra urudami mara. And it all depends upon who we choose as our authority. Everyone has authorities, millions of authorities usually in our tiny brain. All the people that we hold in value for their accomplishments, whatever it may be, whether it's be kicking a ball into a net, or standing on one little pinky. If you can stand on a little pinky, then you're the world champion. Then you're a real yogi. And if you can actually take your pinky off the floor and still stand there, then you're really super. So everyone has to choose a leader. Everyone has chosen so many leaders. But they're blind. They don't know even that they're not their body. They don't know what the goal of life is. And therefore, they're simply getting entangled in one way or another in the material energy and have to suffer the threefold miseries along with birth, death, old age, and disease as a little extra flavor. Happy birthday to you. But who sings happy death day to you? Happy death day. No one sings happy death day. But as soon as we take a so-called happy birthday, then we have to suffer on a happy death day very shortly after the birthday. And then another happy birthday. But even that birthday, when you come out, immediately the doctor goes, welcome. It's the first of many. Get used to it, kid. This is where you've come. This is what it's all about. Don't worry, on your birthday we'll give you a little birthday cake just to alleviate the pain a little bit. So, the question is who we're going to choose as our leader, and Bali Maharaj had the opportunity to either choose Śrīmad, who is a Grihamedi, simply interested in material benedictions, or to choose Vishnu, Vamanadev, who would open the door to unlimited freedom. Naishamatis tavara rukramangrim sprishat yunatar bhagavanyanartha. And just so happens, Prahlad Maharaj uses the word urukramangrim, the one who takes a big step. So I guess Prahlad was, this came before, Prahlad was in the 7th canto, and this is the 8th. So Vamanadev took the cue from Prahlad and took a big step. Some big steps. So, Naishamatis tavada rukramangrim, one should take shelter of someone who's freed. Naishamatis tavada rukramangrim, sprishat yanartha bhagavana yanartha, who's free from all these material conceptions. After all, the material world is just made out of different elements, different energies like earth, water, fire, air, and ether, put together in different arrangements that bewilder us, that we think are somehow or another is going to become our kingdom. We're going to become the Lord of some kind of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. This will be our kingdom forever. But it's just an ever-fleeting mirage that we're subjected to, that we're so attached to. And the real benefit is to get out of it. Get free from it. Get free from the illusion, not to get deeply absorbed in the illusion. So Bali Maharaj recognized that, because as we'll find out, he had some good association also. And therefore he was able to discriminate between what was real and what's unreal. Because he had his grandfather was Bali Maharaj, was Prahlad Maharaj. Therefore he had a choice. Most people have no choice, because they have no good association. Therefore, Nashamatis tavara rukramangri sprishat yanartha, one should accept good association. Otherwise one is doomed to endlessly birth and death. And the best association is one who's actually free from all material considerations, whose intelligence doesn't become entangled by material considerations, but is always taking shelter of the Supersoul and the Acharyas in disciple succession. Therefore, as Krishna is unentangled, so his devotees who are pure, who are actually taking shelter, who have become a servant of the Acharyas in disciple succession, then their intelligence is also unentangled. But if even for a moment we forget the Acharya, such as Srila Prabhupada, then the result is immediately our intelligence is entangled. And everything we do is a waste of time. Or worse than a waste of time, it's actually degrading us, unless we're choosing someone who's actually going to elevate us, at least through the modes of nature. That if we don't act transcendentally, in one sense it's all a waste of time. In another sense, if we do something which will bring us to the platform of transcendence, of taking shelter of the Acharyas, and therefore getting good intelligence, how to execute devotional service in consciousness of Krishna, and therefore get Krishna's mercy. And what is Krishna's mercy? A house, a wife, a colored TV? Is that Krishna's mercy? Om Jai Jagadisha Hari? Is that what we're looking? No, it's the Dhammi Buddhi Yogam Tam, the intelligence, how to execute devotional service with more steadiness and more enthusiasm. That's what we're looking for. At least the devotees are looking for that. That's called grihasta. One may live with in a house with children, But if one's aim is spiritual, then one is called a grihasta. And that's everyone's choice, whether we want to live as a grihasta or we want to live as a grihamedi. The Vedic culture cultivates grihastas by first training brahmacharis. And brahmacharis need training such as that brahmachari guru kule vasandanta guror hitam. That brahmacharis should live in a spiritual atmosphere. Not that they should get their own house and with their color TV and their everything else, a refrigerator, and once in a while they go to the temple in their saffron uniform and they claim they're brahmacharis. But actually they're called brahmastras. Brahmastra is a combination of a brahmachari and a grihasta. And we know what happens with brahmastras. After some time, they all explode. So brahmachari guru kule, the first qualification, say they should live in a spiritual association. Vasandanta guror hitam. And they should have a favorable attitude towards their authorities. Not that these people are my authorities, let me figure out how to rebel so we can have a revolution and overturn them so that I become the authority. Resolution, revolution, dissolution, no solution. No, the gurur, one should have a favorable attitude towards the authority. Not that they're my enemy. They're going to give me some instruction to do. And therefore my freedom is lost. Anyone who tells me what to do, my freedom is lost. If I don't follow my mind, what it tells me to do, then I'm not free. My mind makes me free. My senses make me free. As long as I'm free to do anything my senses demand or my mind demands, that's freedom. But actually, according to the Vedic conception, it's like you're in a prison. The prison guards are telling you to do this and tell you to do that, but you're not becoming free from following the directions of the prison guards. When they're beating you and you're claiming, I don't listen to any of you guys. They're beating you and you're claiming in the prison cell, I'm free, I don't listen to any of you, but they're beating on you and you can't get out. What kind of, it's illusion. There's no freedom being beaten in a prison cell. And as long as one is mischievous and is qualified to be beaten in the prison cell, one has to stay there and get beaten. That's not freedom, that's entanglement. If you act as a normal citizen and follow the rules and regulations of a normal citizen and they allow you to become free, then you actually become liberated from all these problems and anxieties of being in the prison. So Krishna's giving direction how to get out of the prison cell, and we're rejecting it because we want freedom, freedom to stay in the material world forever and suffer. Patmam upeti punarjanma dukhaliyam shasvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramangataha. That of attaining me, those who are yogis in devotion, they never come back to this temporary miserable world because they have achieved the highest perfection. Now, there's a place for Śrīmad. Śrīmad is Venus in astrology. He has a planet, Venus. And Shukra means Venus. So he has a place because if we follow the rules and regulations of the Varna and Ashram system, because Varna Ashram Dharma means Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And everyone has their place. The Kshatriyas are supposed to convey Dharma, the Vaishyas are Artha, the Shudras are Kama, and the Brahmanas are Moksha. Now in the present age, there is no Dharma. At all, there's no Dharma whatsoever, practically speaking. People don't even know what the word dharma means. They think their religion is to live in the material world and try to gratify their senses. What is that verse? That they believe that to gratify their senses is the prime duty of human civilization. Chintyam aparemeyam cha pralayantam upashitya kama pabhoga paramam etavam iti nischita asha pashisitarabhada kama kroda parayana ihanti kama bhogaranta aniyenartha sanjaya. Chintyam means anxiety. Chintyam aparmeyam cha, unlimited. Pralayantam, up to the point of death. Chintyam aparayam cha, pralayantam upashitya. They take shelter of fulfilling their anxieties up until the end of life. What? Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter. Verse? It's after Etam Drishtim Vavachnavya, and there's another verse. So it's around 11 and 12. You can look it up and see. I think it's 11 and 12. Chintyam aparayam cha pralayanta. So that's, they think, their duties, to gratify their senses, and if they're a little generous, to gratify other people's senses, up until the end of life. What's the verse number? 12, yeah. Upashitya. Chintyama prayam cha pralayantam upashitya. Kama pabhoga paramam. Kama and bhoga. To satisfy their kama and their material desires, their sense gratification, their fruitive activities, parama, as the highest goal of life. That's their duty. And therefore there's no measurement for their anxiety. Being bound by hundreds and thousands of desires, by lust and anger, they secure money by illegal means for sense gratification. So what is, at least ISKCON, he wants to put people on the path of properly performing Vedic rites for sense gratification. So Bali Maharaj agrees, according to the Medinam, according to the path of progression of materialists, that's one of their injunctions, that's permitted. And maybe after many, many thousands of lifetimes, one will come to the platform of becoming a jnani, and then may be liberated from material conceptions of life. But it's a very slow, not very secure process. In the meantime, one may become a worm if one deviates from the prescribed duties of a grihasta or grihamedi. So Bali Maharaj agrees that this is a process, this is a bona fide process of making progress towards liberation. But actually, if one acts in Krishna consciousness, then immediately one is liberated. One doesn't have to go through many, many thousands of lifetimes trying to get liberated. One is immediately, automatically liberated if one acts in consciousness of Krishna. But to do that, sarva dharma parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja, to actually become sufficiently absorbed in Krishna consciousness, to actually give up material existence and become self-realized, one has to give up all these materialistic purposes of life. So Bali Maharaj was prepared to do that because he had good association. We ourselves were practicing Krishna consciousness and struggling. So the first thing is anukulyasya sankalpa. First thing is to accept things which are favorable. So that's not a struggle. We fill devotees up with prasadam. Prabhupada said at the beginning, we fill them up so much with prasadam that you can roll them down the street. But that's not the end. That may be good for the first 50 years, but then you have to make some progress. Beyond that. No, anakulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. then one should gradually give up things that are actually impediments towards spiritual advancement. So Bali Maharaj was prepared to do that because he had good association, and therefore he was going to hand over the entire universe, which he understood that it doesn't belong to me anyhow. If you go to the Bank of America, well, there's no Bank of America. I don't, what are the ANZ here? What's the bank here? ENZ. If you go to ENZ and you put it in your hand and say, my dearest fellow members of ENZ, I'm giving you back all the money that you have. I've renounced it. And they go, what? It wasn't your money. No, I'm giving you all this money that I believe I own. I'm giving it all to you. But it's not yours anyhow. You have no control of it. How can you claim it to be yours? Anyhow, my grandfather wrote me a little note, and he gave me all the money in ANZ. I have the note right here for my grandfather. But he didn't own anything. Anyhow, let's not get into an argument. I'm giving it back to you anyhow. So why should you complain? So Bala Maharaj understood nothing belonged to him in the universe. It all belongs to Vishnu. And he's just acknowledging that it's yours. And therefore he got the greatest benediction. He got Vishnu because he surrendered everything, including his own self. Surrendering the universe was no big deal. But when Bali Maharaj asked for the last foot of Vamanadev, the last step to be put on his head, that was his actually benediction. Then he actually got some benefit from giving everything to Vishnu, because he gave himself to Vishnu also, without any desire for any return. He surrendered to Krishna, to Vishnu, and therefore Vishnu surrendered to him and became his doorkeeper, and still is his doorkeeper in Sutala. He revised his intimate relation with Vishnu, with Krishna, eternal relationship, and therefore his charity got him eternal benefit rather than something temporary. Otherwise, Vishnu would have been obliged to give him something back in return, and Bali Maharaj would have been endlessly entangled. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments? So what are we going to do today? Give something to Krishna or pray, Krishna, please, I'm in trouble, help me. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the beautiful class. I have few questions and some comments too. The death is 100% everywhere, but some places you can live comfortably. So for those people, how do we...
What was the first part of that?
Death is 100% everywhere, whether
Yes,
it's India or Africa or USA, death is 100%.
Even in Melbourne?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, but people want to live until we leave the body, they want to live comfortably.
Yeah, so, well, look around. Is everyone very comfortable right now? Some people are on their hands, trying to keep their... Some people are on their legs, some people are against the wall. Who's comfortable here? They want to live, everyone wants to live comfortably. Who's comfortable?
Thank you, Prabhu. And what is the English name for Graha Medi and Grahastha?
Griha means house. Medi means your consciousness is absorbed in your material concept, your body, your family, etc. And Grihastha means you're living with wife and children, but it's an ashram. You're living for a spiritual purpose.
There are no English words.
No, in English, they're not interested in spiritual things.
And
conception beyond what they're... English is for business. That's for spiritual life.
And the Grahamedi asked Prabhupada to give blessings. So if he showed sannyasis, so not everyone can become sannyasis. So what's the answer?
Saffron cloth. Just the saffron cloth. Everyone should become a sannyasi. Do you know what the definition of sannyas in Bhagavad Gita is?
Yeah.
Nashitya karampalam karya karam karotiya. So sannyasi triyogi ja nirna chakriya. One who is unattached to the fruits of his work who works as he's obligated, is in the renouncer of light. That he is a true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no work, performs no work. Everything here belongs to Krishna, and when we're not a sannyasi, we're not in that mood, that consciousness, then we're a thief. It's to be punished. So everyone has to become a sannyasi. It's not the outward dress that makes one a sannyasi, it's the mentality.
So if he can't get married to her daughter without dowry, so just pray to Krishna, whatever Krishna let him do.
What's that?
If he can't give dowry to get her daughter married, so what he has to do, just pray to Krishna?
No, give a tulsi leaf. Give a tulsi leaf as a dowry. That's very valuable. Krishna. You don't have to give a big dowry, just give a tulsi leaf. Krishna was eating mountains of food, and he was unsatisfied at the Anakulta ceremony, Govardhan Leela. But when they gave him one tulsi leaf, he became satisfied. So if the groom is not satisfied or the bride is not satisfied with the tulsi, what can you do? He's giving the highest contribution and they don't accept it, so that's their problem.
The father's duty is to get his daughter married.
Good luck. You give according to what you can. If all you have is patram pushpam palam toyam, yome bhakti priyachati, tadaham bhakti paritam, ashnami priyatatmanaha. That Krishna accepts if it's offered with love and devotion, a leaf, a fruit, of flowers, especially a tulsi leaf. So, if Krishna can accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, why shouldn't an ordinary person accept also? If God could accept.
So he should look for a devotee husband.
Or else you're really going to get into trouble. We're already into trouble. And if you get a non-devotee husband, you're going to be in hundreds of times more trouble.
And one more question, Maharaj. That Bali Maharaj decided that the right thing, but his Guru Maharaj was Grahamedi. So where did he get the knowledge or mercy from?
His Guru Maharaj was not his Guru Maharaj. His Guru Maharaj was, well, not exactly non-devotee, but a misdirector. So Bali Maharaj rejected him as Guru Maharaj, and he took shelter of his Prahlad Maharaj.
Oh, his grandfather.
Yeah. So we should find the guru. The aim of the purpose, the role of the guru is to bring us to Krishna, not away from Krishna. So one cannot be a guru, an actual guru, if he's actually bringing us away from Krishna. Then he's a guru.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Beautiful class. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj, for the class. So how can we be aware of not getting entangled in sense gratification when we are grihastas? Just providing to the family the basics, but what for one family is the basics, not necessarily is the basics for other family. So how can we don't cross this fine line of sense gratification?
We can't. So we have to regulate our senses. Therefore, every family should have a morning program. That's the basis. And then we should try to get the higher taste by taking it seriously, and then Krishna will give you the intelligence. It's between ourselves and Krishna and the acharyas and the representatives, how seriously we take it. And Krishna will help us accordingly, according to our sincerity.
Thank you.
Anything else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. You spoke about the inevitability of death and how materialists delude themselves when others die and they think they'll live forever. How should we seek to accept death? Like, should we meditate on it every day? What does it look like?
Well, we should meditate on Krishna. And what it looks like is that if we meditate on Krishna enough, we won't be afraid of death. Because we'll become conscious of Krishna, who we actually are. Death is only to inspire us to meditate on Krishna. So we meditate on Krishna, then we won't have to worry about death.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the nice class. Maharaj, you had mentioned how we should be remembering, like we should be able to remember Krishna at the time of death. But I'd like to ask, but as devotees, if we're not able to remember Krishna at the time of death, what will our destination be? Like, will we go back home, back to Godhead?
No. We definitely won't go back to God. Depends on what we'll remember. We're going to remember something at the time of death. Just like the example is given that one emperor asked his minister that at what age does one become free from sex life? So the minister said, one doesn't become free from sex life at any age. So the emperor didn't believe him. So he said, all right, I'll prove it to you. So then he said, one day I'll prove it to you. So one day the minister came to the emperor and said, come with me immediately and bring your beautiful daughter. So the emperor entered into the room of this dying man who was on his bed. The dying man didn't pay any attention to the emperor. Then the minister entered into the room, and the dying man didn't pay any attention to the minister. But then the young, beautiful emperor's daughter entered in. The man sat up in his bed, winked at the princess, and then died. So then the emperor realized, yeah, even at the time of death, one will be attached to sex life. One is not pure devotee of Krishna.
Thank you.
Yes.
The dowry, that Sanatan Mishra, the father-in-law of Vishnupriya Devi, they were very elated when they got the marriage proposal from Banamali that Vishwambar was proposing a marriage, and they said, however, we can only give 3 pieces of haritaki for the dowry, 3 pieces of haritaki, which is like a little almond. And when the news was conveyed to Vishwambar and Sachi Devi, they were very satisfied with that.
Good. Okay, so that's a clue. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Prahaladananda.
His Holiness Prahaladananda Swami Maharaj ki.